that was amazing. Now that I'm in a Spidey mood, let's take a look back at what came before.
I find Spider-Man has such an interesting history when it comes to bringing him to the silver screen. Whether it's the late 80s project by Canon Films or the attempt by James Cameron, which was interesting to say the least. But in 2002, our favorite webhead would be brought to life and everything changed.
Now let's get into some background for this film, shall we?
Upon acquiring the rights, Sony and Columbia Pictures went right to work getting the movie off the ground and enlisted the help of Sam Raimi to make that work. Yes, that Sam Raimi. The same one responsible for Evil Dead and Darkman. The film released on May 3rd, 2002 to widespread critical acclaim, but the real question is, how well does it hold up? I mean, I love the movie, but I haven't seen it in a while, so I'm curious to see how my opinion will be reshaped by reviewing all of these films.
So with that, let's dive right in and look at Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
All those memories just come flooding back to you. So we have our opening sequence, which I love so much. It's somewhat dated with the CG, but a huge part that makes it so memorable is the music by Danny Elfman, which is just sublime. But I'll get to him later. It kind of reminds me of the opening to Batman 89 a little bit, but overall a great start.
Who am I? You sure you want to know?
Nope.
This is where we meet our principal cast of characters, including Peter Parker, played by Tobey Maguire, Mary Jane Watson, played by Kirsten Dunst, Harry Osborn, played by James Franco, and finally Norman Osborn, played by Willem Dafoe. The kids are on their way to some science center that not only has special spiders, but also has the youngest of teachers and the oldest 40-year-old students ever.
We also get this.
Some spiders change colors to blend into their environment. It's a defense mechanism.
Trivia.
After some awkward teeny bopper back and forth, Peter is bit by the spider and we are transported to Oscorp for a subplot that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's brought up a couple times after Norman becomes the Goblin, but after that it's just kind of brushed to the side with no real payoff or lasting consequences. Next we head to Queens where we meet Uncle Ben and Aunt May, played by the late great Cliff Robertson and Rosemary Harris respectively. Also, Peter comes home and is not feeling good.
You won't have a bite?
No thanks. Had a bite.
Did you get it? It was a joke. Also here we get some literal nightmare fuel.
All these spiders into these 15 genetically designed super spiders.
And some from Norman after that.
Soon enough, Pete wakes up to discover his overnight workout, and not that he transformed into Jack Black.
I'm totally freaking hot. Yeah!
At school, he starts to notice some other developments.
It's amazing that this was all on camera, but the awkward stares kind of ruined this scene now.
After seeing him web up some dude's lunch and watching people who should know who Spider-Man is right away, it's time for Peter to face his first real opponent in the trilogy.
Shitty background extras. What, you thought I was going to talk about this goober? Oh yeah, that's Flash Thompson, by the way.
So, in an alley, Peter comes to grip with his powers, and after learning he can climb walls, he does his best Woody run and jumps between rooftops.
Aside from the dated CG, it is kind of fun, and I like him testing his webs out.
Up, and away, web! Shazam!
Can't say that anymore. DC will sue.
After his first swing, Peter gets home
8 hours later.
and has a chat with MJ while taking out the trash, and this happens.
You're taller than you look.
I hunch.
I just want to get this out of the way, but I don't care at all for Peter and MJ's chemistry in this movie.
Whether it's the actors or dialogue given, I just don't see how these two have any interest in each other just from these average conversations. It's like I'm watching a brick wall talk to another brick wall.
I can have a better chat with this robot here.
Fuck you, punk bitch.
Speaking of performance, it makes me feel like I'm watching children talking, not two grown-ass adults who are going to be living in the big city. They do a better job in the other movies, but this needed another take. Or 12.
Sorry, back to the movie.
After showing how broke he is, Peter gets into the stuff that Batman Begins focused on, which is him designing his costume and honing his web skills.
I see what you did there, Raimi. I'm going to keep an eye out for you and your humor.
Teenager. Raging hormones, they never change.
Now we get the moment that would define the trilogy going forward.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Aside from Peter acting like a dick, this is a great scene between the two of them. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. Oh, right.
Next up is the wrestling scene with not only the king himself, Bruce Campbell, but also Bonesaw Randy Savage, may he rest in peace. We also see the first Spidey suit, which is pretty cool and accurate if you had no money. We also have this to remember.
That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?
See, it's funny because he looks like a woman.
Just to move things on a little, Human Spider beats Boner, doesn't get $3,000, it gets stolen by a Toby's sound-alike,
Thanks.
and Peter finds his uncle dying on the ground. Just want to note that Cliff is giving the performance of a lifetime and it makes the scene much better and emotional. With Ben's death, Peter takes off to find his uncle's killer and exact his vengeance upon him.
Which he actually does.
I mean, the guy indirectly killed himself, but like Pete said in No Way Home, he got what he wanted. This part of the movie is really well done. Aside from Peter's weird, fake CGI mask, I like everything here, from the car chase, the sneaking around, the confrontation, and the realization. All of it works exceptionally well, and it brings the first act to a nice close. Well, with high school done and over with, it's time for Peter to show that $100,000 work of art and make his debut as the Spider-Man. And when there's a spider, there's a ball buster in J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons. He is fantastic in this role and brings the character to life in a way that I could have never imagined. After the introduction of Enrique, we cut back to Harry and Pete's new place, and the weird undertones of Norman are ever present.
The older I get, the more weirded out I am whenever I see Peter and Norman interacting.
Even during their first scene together, something just feels off. It's good for building their relationship up, only for it to fall apart when they're in costume, but something now is just telling me to stay far away from Norman whenever possible. Some more stuff happens, like Peter becoming a freelance photographer, Norman losing his position at Oscorp, and now we come to the Unity Day Festival, which is the first real battle between Spidey and the Green Goblin. It's a fun set piece, with the fight itself having its ups and downs, but I want to note some other things here.
Like Macy Gray. Remember her? Also, Stan Lee's here, and that just warms my heart.
Anyway, the wall crawler saves the day, sends Goblin crying wee 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 all the way home, and manages to rescue Mary Jane with his mannequin body and leaves her to trampoline jump into the distance. After another scene of the writers having no idea what to do with Harry, we meet Norman's evil half, and you can't chew the scenery better than Willem Dafoe here.
Maybe JK can, but Gobby puts a stop to that right away.
So, with knockout gas and jive talking, Spider-Man's reputation is at an all-time low, and after more lovey-dovey crap, MJ gets saved in an alley, and it leads to one of the most memorable kisses in movie history.
I think I put in the wrong version last time I watched this. I don't think that's how that's supposed to go.
Anyway, Spidey leaves to avoid getting waterboarded more, and next we see a burning building with the wall crawler saving a baby. He goes back for this lady, and...
Fucking
ugly bitch.
So the two fight once again and move on to the best Thanksgiving movie according to some people.
If you ask me, superhero movie did it way better.
You have a scratch on your neck. Yes, I met a girl on Craigslist. And you have a bruise on your neck. I met a guy on Craigslist.
In short, truths are revealed and Green Meanie makes his moves to destroy Peter. First of which is attacking Aunt May in the weirdest way possible.
Finish it! Finish it!
The second way is by kidnapping MJ off screen, leading us into the final battle. Gotta say, the bridge scene dragged on a bit too long for my liking, but the fight inside the abandoned building is just badass. So Peter kicks the shit out of Norman, reveals his identity, and jumps out of the way for Goblin to kill himself.
Oh. Man. How Should Have Ended really did have it right.
There's only one way this is gonna go down. It happens every time. We'll fight for a bit, you'll tear my mask, but in the end, I'm just gonna leap out of the way and you're gonna do something that makes you kill yourself.
Now we have the ending at Norman's funeral with Harry vowing revenge, MJ confessing her love for Peter, and Peter rejecting it to keep her safe. With one final swing, the story of Spider-Man is completed. I'm gonna go on a limb and say this is the perfect superhero origin movie. All the beats hit right and it does a great job of establishing the motive and learning curve for the powers of both hero and villain.
Maybe more so for the hero, but you catch my drift.
The first act was mainly about Peter, but it has some of my favorite moments of the movie. Second act is all Goblin and I'm all here for it. As soon as Norman discovers Peter's secret is when I think the movie goes downhill slightly, but it has its standout moments. For better and for worse.
You mess with mine, you mess with New York! You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us!
In short, the story is a great recreation of Amazing Fantasy 15 and a really fun Spider-Man vs. Green Goblin movie.
Anyway, let's talk about the other stuff for this movie.
Let's go over the cast because we have some real standouts. You'll find out if it'll be good or not. Let's start with Toby, who does a good job here. He nails the nerdy side of Peter's personality. He can be a little bit much of a goody two-shoes in some scenes, like when he's talking to Aunt May and such, but he generally does a good job with what he's given. Not to mention, he can have some badass moments in costume. Willem Dafoe steals the show here. When he puts the mask on and the voice changes, it becomes his movie and he's great to watch. He really fits the Silver Age comic book tone that they're going for, and I'm so glad this isn't the last we see of him. Kirsten Dunst is okay? There's elements I like with the broken home life and her hiding her true personality, but my issues mainly stem from the ditzy personality and this.
Damn, she screams more than Vicky Vale. We got it.
James Franco is kinda there. It's extremely apparent they had no idea what to do with him. He has some really good scenes with Willem, but besides that, there's just nothing here. Just want to mention that J.K. Simmons is great in general, and both Aunt May and Uncle Ben do their roles wonderfully as well. Action is very hit or miss. There are good set pieces, but it just flip-flops randomly and it becomes distracting. CGI is not aged well. Like, not at all. You can definitely tell when it's during night. I want to say it's a product of its time, but even I can't say that. The score by Danny Elfman is just incredible. Just about every track stands the test of time and is one of my favorite superhero scores ever composed. One of my favorite tracks has to be the piece when Peter is talking to Aunt May after the graduation. As far as some other things, pacing is good all throughout. We get a taste of that Raimi camera work and it is glorious, and the costumes are really good. I even like Green Goblins.
Let's finish this video off by giving you my final thoughts.
Spider-Man 2002 is a wonderful time and is still a blast to come back to. While some elements like the dated CG, the inconsistent action, and the mixed performances can be a tough pill to swallow, the world created by Raimi and company really sucks you in and keeps you enthralled throughout the experience. I'm surprised how well this actually held up, and the best part is that it can only get better from here. Well, we'll see with this one. This is required viewing for anybody who likes the superhero genre, and I don't care if it's on DVD, Blu-ray, digital, VHS, fucking UMD, just watch it. Still amazes me that it's been over 20 years since this movie released. This, along with the 60s show and the animated series, is what got me to love the character as a toddler, and that love has persisted to this very day. Whether it was reading a random issue or playing one of the various games, my childhood was consumed by the webhead. Some of my earliest memories were just running around the backyard in a mask pretending I was swinging around Manhattan. I love this character, and I'm looking forward to what the future has in store for the wall crawler.
Well, that was certainly different from reviewing a video game. I hope everyone enjoyed my style. Sorry to go on a tangent, but remember when movies had a full screen and a widescreen version? The early 2000s was such a fascinating time. I don't really need to tell you what's next, but with that I hope you all have a great night. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care of yourselves.